We work hard in planting our seeds, nurturing them, taking care of those plants, and then all of a sudden, when the weather changes and the heat is on, we have all of these pests that comes out of nowhere. They begin to eat on our leaves and destroy our plants. What are we going to do? Hi, I'm Annette and welcome to Kitchen Garden Farmhouse. Today we're going to be talking about pest management. But before we get into it, if you have not subscribed yet, please take a moment to subscribe, and if you enjoy the video, give it a thumbs up. There are many different ways that we can approach in controlling pests, but today I'm going to break it down into three categories. It's going to be physical pest control, chemical pest control, and biological pest control. Let's start with physical pest control. It is a method in using some kind of physical barrier or trap of some sort to control or to remove pests from plants in a specific area. Now I'm talking about things such as mealybugs, worms, caterpillars, aphids, stuff like that. We're not dealing with things like rabbits, deers, groundhogs, moles, voles. We're not dealing with those at this time. These are my Cinderella carriage pumpkins. They are beginning to have significant damage here. They have a long ways to go. So I've got to try to put some things in place to try to save these Cinderella carriage pumpkin plants. We are only in our first week of May and the insect population has exploded. So between that and extreme heat already, we have our work cut out for us. But here you can see this plant, holes are just being ate into the leaves. This is quite significant. This leaf here is almost completely ate up. These ziggly lines here, those are leaf miners. This is where a moth will come and lay its larva inside of the leaf. And so the little tiny larvas squiggly around in there, and that's why you have these lines. First, we're going to talk about physical pest control. It involves using some kind of physical barrier or trap of some sort to control, reduce, or remove different types of pests, whether it be worms, caterpillars, mealybugs, stuff such as that. Now I have some plants here, we're doing quite well actually, and then all of a sudden when the heat began to get hotter, we began to have more pest pressure. So I had this barrier. It's just regular tool that you can buy at your local fabric store, or you can buy it online. And it's very lightweight, it's very effective because the holes are so small, and you can cover your plants up using whatever you have on hand. Now this right here is temporary because these right here are going to grow much larger, but I was just trying to do something quickly that I can get this under control so these plants can regrow some leaves and gain some strength. I already had these hoops here already available, and I just stuck them down here inside of the pots. So, but you just can use your imagination and be creative and use what you can, whether it's a raised bed or in the ground or container pots or whatever, to try to cover your plants up. Now before I covered the plant up, I did use a bug spray for organic gardening. It's called Jack's Dead Bug, to spray the plants very well to get rid of anything that was already on them, and then I cover them up. I already had this product on hand. It's Captain Jack's Dead Bug. It covers a variety of different bad insects. So I'm going to try to see if this can help with the pest pressure. And so I will be applying 1 tablespoon per quart of water, and that's according to the directions. And of course, the physical barriers are the #1 environmental friendly, non-toxic way to prevent bugs from attacking our plants. I realize there's going to be some crops that we're not going to be able to cover with some kind of physical barrier. Like if you have a patch of corn, that's not going to be practical. So for that, we would have to use other methods. But if we have small plants that are being attacked by pests, definitely using some kind of covering over those plants to prevent the pests from attacking them would be your #1 go-to in trying to save your plants so you can have a bountiful harvest. Next, we're going to talk about chemical pest control. Now this is going to involve trying to treat pests that attack our crops, whether we need an insecticide for insects or herbicide for lots of weeds, or whether we need a fungicide for different types of funguses. It all falls under chemical pest control. Now, I would definitely try to encourage everyone to try to use organic, natural products as much as possible. And always let that be your go-to at the beginning, and try not to use harsh chemicals if there's any way around it. On the chemical pest control, there are so many recipes that one can try to use to try to get under control the pests they're currently having problems with. I'm going to be leaving you some recipes in this video that you can consider if you like. Now, if you use anything to spray on your plants, it is always recommended to try just one plant first. Wait 24 hours to see how that plant reacted to that particular type of ingredients that you had used, because all plants will not respond the same way to all ingredients. Sometimes it's just trial and error to make sure that we find out what's going to work best for us in that situation for those particular types of plants. Now, on the third one is biological pest control. With this method, it's all about introducing or encouraging the good insects into our garden. Just like the ladybugs, they are very good in controlling aphids. And if you have parasitic wasps in your area, or if you have to buy them and release them, they're very good in trying to help control caterpillars. Another biological pest control would be using a product called BT. It's available online or in your big box stores, and it contains a bacteria that's effective in killing caterpillars. For example, you know how the moth flies around, lays an egg in our corn plants, and then you got this caterpillar just chewing and destroying our corn plants? Well, we can use this approach in trying to control the pest controls with BT. So what method is best at the time? Well, it depends on the location of your plants, how large they are, what kind of bugs are attacking your plants, whether you use biological or physical or a chemical approach. And by all means, I would highly recommend to never use the really harsh chemicals, because they're bad for our health, they're bad for our plants, they're bad for our environment, unless there's just no way around it. But once again, it starts with a healthy plant. So at the beginning, if we can make sure that our soil is healthy, like does it have good drainage? Do we have good structure in that soil, like maybe putting some organic matter in the soil? Does the plant have good sunlight? If that plant requires more sunlight than shade. A couple more things that we can do is try to grow vegetables and fruits that are in season for our particular area. Sometimes we try to force plants to grow when it's not time for them to grow. They just stress and they're weak and they're sick and they're more susceptible to be attacked by different types of pests. Try to shop around and choose seeds that's going to be more disease resistant, so you'll have a better chance in that plant growing to be healthy and strong, so you can have a bountiful harvest.